Okay, so there's been some revelations lately with the firing of our uh, pretty much the whole administration, governmental administration here in Marion, and replacing with all new. Uh, the code enforcement officer was indeed doing some behind the scenes things, and apparently was behind the housing scam. I found out that before I was able to, before I found out what was going on with my house, that it was reported abandoned and they were going to destroy it with me living in it. And I went down and threw a fit about it when I found out because I was watching my taxes. I found out that it was too late for 40 other houses. Apparently, they were destroyed with the people still living in there without the government going through the proper channels. There was no court dates, there was no notices, no evictions, nothing. They were all houses that were owned. And mine just happened to be on that list. Only I stopped mine. I'm not sure how many other houses were saved because the investigation got started. I'm thinking after I went down and alerted the assessor what was going on. Apparently quite a few. But 40 houses. It's no wonder our homelessness shot up. And we have people living in abandoned places, breaking into abandoned places, because they had nowhere to go after their homes were destroyed. He left them no time to find other places to go. And he was going to do the same to me and others. Now, because Leverett was next door and abusing me for so long, trying to force me out, even telling me I don't deserve to live in this house because I'm not part of the family. I'm thinking Leverett and maybe Teddy were most likely involved in this scam. I'm also not putting it past my sister and my ex-husband to be part of this scam as well. And because DCS wanted me out so bad, and wouldn't let me have my son back because I refused to leave, I decided I was going to stay so my children knew where I'm at. I'm thinking they were in on the scam too. It's pretty bad. The fire chief was replaced. The police chief was replaced. I'm thinking there was a lot of covering up going on. I have learned that there is a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit, because of this. I'm also thinking that DCS really was not letting me have my son back and was angry that Aurora came back because of the death threats I received from my sister and my ex-husband. Perhaps trying to protect my children from being caught in the crossfire of me being killed. I'm thinking it really had nothing to do with me after all. With me being a bad mom. There was a lot of behind the scenes shady crap going on that I'm just now finding out about. It's coming to light now because of our change of administration. I'm not sure why this code enforcement officer was targeting homes that people were still living in when there was plenty of abandoned homes that could have been taken care of. But I do remember when the Ballard neighborhood was destroyed, way back when. I remember them forcing the Harts out of their home and how they waited till they had gone to breakfast at Denny's and fired the house. That comes to mind. Yeah, there's a lot of shady crap that went on. Everyone wants to say Marion's doing better since the lynchings of a century ago. Well, not quite a century. Almost a century ago. They're trying to say that Marion's come a long way since then. I don't think so. In fact, my neighbor on the other side of me said that he suspected they wanted to get rid of all of these houses on this block. All of them. Teddy's, Leverett's, his, all of them. It would have affected about 10 houses. That's pretty bad. The only reason I can think of is not only the age but the historical significance that this neighborhood was part of the Underground Railroad back during the Civil War. And they're trying to wipe out the history. But you cannot ignore the lessons of the past. Otherwise, history will repeat itself. Destroying the homes will not stop history from being repeated. That's a plain and simple fact. Marion has not learned its lesson to just embrace its history and move on. I knew there was something really bad with this town when I moved here 22 years ago. And now I know. The Lord removed his blessing from this town when those lynchings happened. That's why all the industry died. And with it, the people's ability to properly maintain this town. But the town will not recover until it learns its lessons. That means the racism has to go, the corruption has to go, and people have to start looking out for one another. They have to become a true community again. And that's not going to happen as long as people keep acting like they're against each other. Like what I saw in that church. In fact, I've been thinking about it. And I think the Lord removed his blessing from the church as well that I went to for 20 years because of what I saw going on there. All the banning, telling people that God loves you, but don't come back here because we don't love you. Just acting like the Catholic Church all over again. There was a lot of things I saw go on there. I probably would not have talked about it if they had not treated me the way that they did. But once I am abused, I tend not to be quiet. And people have not learned that. I'm one who I scream for justice. And there's not a lot of justice in this town. Just a lot of corruption. It's no wonder people are in despair here, without hope. Why there's such a large addiction and suicide problem here. Because people are looking for a way out of the abuse. And Marion hasn't learned it. I'm hoping this new administration with Mayor Mallory, or wait a minute, not Mallory. Forgive me, my stroke brain will not allow me to remember names very well. God. Our new mayor. Let's just put it that way. Our new mayor. I'm hoping he can turn things around. God bless him. He's our first black mayor. And from what I heard throughout Indiana, the first black mayor in Indiana. I'm like, yay! So, everyone's been clapping and applauding him, and yes, here's hoping things do get turned around. Because everyone's tired of all the BS. The only way this town's going to survive is if it learns from its history and starts doing things differently. The more you abuse your people, the more your people leave, fall into addiction, have bad health, cannot work, or die. That is a fact. And it always will be a fact. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. You cannot abuse your citizenry and expect it to be healthy. So, adios, y'all.